I've never been someone who scares easily. No ghost stories, horror movies, or Halloween haunted houses ever got under my skin. The building was old, built in the 1920s, but charming. Hardwood floors, vintage fixtures, noisy radiators. There were 3 floors in total. According to the landlord, the unit above mine had been empty for months. Last guy was a musician, he said, but he left in the spring. No one's been up there since. The kind of place you'd expect to find in an artsy neighborhood, a little run down but full of character. The rent was surprisingly cheap for the area, but I figured it was due to the age of the building. I didn't ask questions. I just needed a quiet space to focus on work. A long, slow square rop, like someone was pushing a dresser or a table. Then footsteps, slow, heavy ones, pacing back and forth. It lasted about 10 minutes, then silence. I'm a rational guy, an architect, used to facts, structure, and what can be explained. Just faint clicks or static. I started losing sleep. I left the lights on at night. I even wore earplugs, but that only made it worse, because then I could feel the sounds, the vibrations in the floorboards. The shift in the air pressure, or maybe maintenance was up there, but the next morning I asked the landlord and he frowned. That is probably why what happened to me in the fall of 2023 shook me to my core. It came through the ceiling vents in the living room, especially late at night. I nearly vomited the first time it hit me full force, because none of it made sense. And it still doesn't. This time he came over to check it out. He climbed up to the 3rd floor, unlocked the unit, and went inside while I waited below. About 10 minutes later, he came back down, looking pale. It started when I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in Logan Square, Chicago. I stopped going into the bedroom and slept on the couch. My apartment was on the 2nd floor. It was like a combination of rot, sewage, and something sweet, like decaying flowers. As I stepped inside, the floor creaked loudly. My flashlight flickered. Then I saw it. The closet was open, and there was a hole in the wall behind it. Crude, jagged opening, like someone had ripped through the drywall with their hands. I swept the flashlight around, empty. No furniture, no lights, but the walls. They looked stained, dark blotches, like water damage, or something worse. Maybe 4 feet tall, pitch black, but I could see something. Piles of old clothes, newspaper, wrappers, bones, small bones, rat bones. I think that's when I saw it. A soft bulge, like the plaster was being pushed from the other side. Just for a second, like someone pressing down from the floor above. It vanished as quickly as it came. The hallway was dead silent and cold, unnaturally cold. The hole was there, yes, but no one in it. No sign of anyone living there. And they told me the bones were likely animal remains. My breath fogged in the air. The door to the 3rd floor apartment was unlocked. The first week went by without a hitch. Hear soft footsteps above me, even though I live on the top floor of a condo with no neighbors. I worked late, came home, made frozen meals, fell asleep watching Netflix. Nothing strange at first. Flickers of movement in my peripheral vision, shadows that darted behind doorways. Black eyes, mouth open, like it was screaming silently. I spun around. Nothing. Then reflections. I'd look into a dark window and see a shape behind me, but when I turned around, nothing. Then came the first night. Around 2:30 a.m., I was jolted awake by the sound of something heavy being dragged across the floor above me. I figured maybe someone moved in, and I just hadn't seen them. No one's moved in, he said. That apartment's still empty. Keys are locked in my office. I didn't know what to make of it. Maybe he was mistaken. Over the next few nights, the sounds came back. Always between 2 and 4 a.m., scraping, pacing, sometimes a soft thud, like something falling. And then something even more unsettling. Whispering, like someone murmuring to themselves, but it didn't stop. I tried recording the sounds, but nothing ever picked up clearly. Then the smell started. It crept in slowly at first, like damp wood. Then stronger, rotting meat, mold, rusted iron. I called the landlord again. Smells up there too, he muttered. Maybe something died in the walls. I'll call an exterminator. He never did. And that's when I started seeing things. It started small. One night I was brushing my teeth and glanced into the bathroom mirror, and for a second, just a second, I saw a tall, thin figure standing behind me. I began to avoid the mirrors. The final straw was the ceiling. I couldn't sleep one night, so I just laid on my back staring at the ceiling above the living room. That's when I decided I had to go up there myself. It was 3:12 a.m. I grabbed a flashlight and a crowbar, and I climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor. The moment I stepped inside, the smell hit me, 10 times worse than before. I moved toward the back bedroom, where the noises always seemed loudest from below. I shined the light inside, a crawlspace. And in the center, a human-sized indent, like someone had been living in there. Something moved, deep in the shadows. I didn't wait to see what it was. I ran out of the apartment, down the stairs, and locked myself in my unit. I barely slept. I moved out 2 days later. I told the landlord what I saw. He shrugged and said, "Old buildings have weird stuff, probably just a squatter." But I knew better. That wasn't a squatter. It never was. The police did a welfare check. Found nothing. I don't care what they say. Something lived in that apartment. Something that watched me. Followed me. Even now, a year later, I sometimes wake up at exactly 3:14 a.m. I hear whispering. I smell that same sweet, rotting scent. So if you ever hear dragging furniture or footsteps in the unit above you, and you reassure no one lives there, don't investigate. Some doors are meant to stay closed.